Welcome to In the Loop podcast. I am your host, Jordan Jo Hollabaugh, and I love all things breakaway roping. Welcome back to our third annual 15 Days of Breakaway Roping series. In this series, we talk all things breakaway roping for 15 straight days, y'all. We interview the top 15 in the world that are making the national finals rodeo. We start from number 15 and we go all the way to number 1. We talk all things breakaway roping, rodeo strategy, horses, ropes, you name it, we talk about it. And one thing I love about this year is these girls have evolved. It's raw, it's real, it's uncut, and we are just so thankful to be able to do this. I want to give a huge shout out to all of our partners who make this happen, and to every one of you who is listening. Thank you for listening. If these episodes make a difference, please go and share it with your friends. Help us grow. Y'all, we're able to be here because of our listeners, because of our fans and supporters. And again, I just want you to know, thank you so much. I love doing this. I love podcasting, and I can't hold back any longer. So let's roll right into it. 15 Days of Breakaway, third annual. Here we go. Let's talk some breakaway roping. Okay, guys, so today is our final day, December 1st. Welcome to the podcast. We are here talking on the first day of December with our number 1 breakaway roper coming into this 2023 NFBR. Shelby Boisjoli is coming in with $164,548 and 100 rodeos. That's really cool to say. Shelby, thanks for coming to the show today.
Thanks for having me.
$164,000. Like, have you spent that money already?
Well, it's not in my account. I know that.
That's awesome too. I mean, from this year to last year, coming in at number 1, I think you came in with a little over 100,000. I mean, records are already being broken, and I just love this story for you this year because it didn't go how you had it planned, and come June, you only had $17,000 won, and you were. I remember talking to you, like, I'm over it. I'm just gonna go where Haven enters me. I'm over it. And now you have $165,000. So I guess you're still over it.
Yeah.
So talk a little bit about this year and kind of how it started and then how it ended up.
Well, I guess I had a not very good winter run. I mean, I won San Antonio, but I think people don't realize, like, I won $10,000 at San Antonio, so I was still chasing after San Antonio, and then I did terrible again at Houston and Austin and everywhere else. Just terrible winter run. And then we got married, and so, I mean, I kind of put my roping on the back burner and did all things wedding, and we had a bunch of family down and everything else, and we got married in May, so it was kind of right before we left for the summer. And then we went on our honeymoon, and I came back from our honeymoon, and we had to go straight to one of the futurities in Oklahoma City. And I think there was like 3 calves, and there's no exaggeration on this, that I did not touch. My rope like literally went over their head and hit the ground on the left side. And I was so stressed and so worried. Like, I was terrified that I wasn't going to make the NFR this year.
Yeah. Talk about that. I mean, I don't think that anybody talks about that. That's one of the scariest feelings after you've made it that somebody can have. But yet you've been at all 4 of them. So how did you battle through that and come out on the other side?
Well, honestly, I didn't have the best attitude about it. Like, like you said, I was like, I'm over this. And I came home and practiced, and the practices didn't go great. Haven left for the summer, so I didn't really have him there helping me. And I don't really know, honestly. We went to Weatherford and Woodward, and then we flew up to Canada, and I think I won like, I don't know, I think I won over 11,000 or something within like 7 rodeos or something like that the first week out there. And I was like, okay, well, this is comforting that I'm actually making some money the first week. So it kind of caught me back up. And then the weeks just kept coming, and they kind of just kept going the same way for me.
Well, and one thing that I think is really special, we've talked to both of them on here, and now we're wrapping it up with you, but you had some pretty cool traveling partners. All three of you girls made it to the NFR this year, Brady Good and Kendall Pearson. And I know that relationship was very special to all three of you, and every one of you has had a different perspective. So talk a little bit about what it was like for you traveling with those girls, both of them being semi-rookies. You knew Kenna, you knew Kendall from Canada. You knew
Yeah.
Kenny from Canada, and then Brady. But it was an odd bunch, but you guys just took off and ran with it. And I say odd just because you wouldn't have. I don't think anybody would have pictured the three of y'all, but you made it work, and you made it great. I mean, you guys are all three best friends now. You're helping each other. It seemed like every time one of you guys did good, the rest of you did good. It was just really neat to watch you guys rodeo all year.
Yeah, it was pretty sweet. Brady's one of those people, she kind of just gets along with everybody. Like, Brady's really good at avoiding conflict, and she'll always like opt to save a friendship. So she's not a confrontive person. So she's so easy to get along with. And Kendall is like, everybody loves Kendall. Like,
We should
there's
start
no
a
way to
show.
not
Everybody
get
loves
along with
Kendall.
Kendall. So it was super easy. And Brady had actually like really didn't know Kendall. And I was like, okay, well, I called Brady one night and I was like, we should go or whatever. And I was like, we'll be with Kendall. And she's like, well, I don't really know her. I was like, don't worry. Like, she's super easy to get along with. You're super easy to get along with. It'll be great. So they didn't really even know each other hopping in the rig. And it was awesome. And I said, we should take the rig that we're going to take for the summer to, you know, this little run of rodeos, Weatherford, all those or whatever, and just test run everything and make sure that, we have all the stuff that we need. And pretty sure Weatherford was our first one. And it was just like, I forget who roped. I think I might have roped first or they roped first. I don't remember, but it was just like bang, bang, bang. Like it was first, second, third, right after we got done roping. Like all three of
That's
us. I
awesome.
was like, holy crap. And we were just like, I was so pumped up. I like fist pumped Amy when I was walking back up the arena and I told her NFR bust. And just kind of ever since then, ever since the first rodeo, we just rode that momentum. And I just kept on telling them, like, NFR bust, NFR bust. And they're like, that'd be so cool if we all made it. I was like, no, we're all making it. Like, this is happening. We're doing it. And we just kept riding that momentum all summer. It was pretty fun.
It was. It was really neat to watch. And I love that NFR bus. I listened to a podcast the other day that was talking about women athletes, and I really love what it said. It said, when you speak of people in the sporting industry, if somebody says like NFR bus or they believe in themselves or anything along those lines, you're like, oh my gosh, how arrogant and how cocky that may be. And she was like, absolutely not. That is somebody that has confidence in themselves, in their teammates, and they are convicted at what they do. And if we all looked at that a little bit differently, maybe you could speak some of that into yourself as well. And I thought, man, that's a great perspective to look at it. And look at you guys go. You spoke it into fruition. It is an NFR bus, carrying all three of y'all in there. So talk about that momentum, because I know that it's really a challenge. We've all talked about that, up and down, all the emotions, the roller coasters and all the things. And then you have three girls in one small place. Talk about how you guys kind of navigated that and built off of that momentum all year long.
I think that it was just so easy, honestly. Like we just decided our sleeping arrangements and they just happened, I guess. Like, and I think we're all pretty easygoing. I mean, Kendall, as long as she has a little blankie and a pillow, she can sleep anywhere. And so she
I've
just
seen
kind of would
that.
curl up wherever.
I have seen Kendall sleep in her stock trailer in Red Lodge when it was 40 degrees. So
Yeah.
Kendall, as long as she has a pillow and a blanket, just like you said, she can go wherever.
No, Kendall's punchy. We literally give her so much crap about being punchy. And yeah, she's very, very low maintenance. And Brady's the same. Like, Brady and I stayed in the nose of the trailer all summer, and Kendall stayed on the couch, and there was just like no problems. If one of us proposed that, hey, we should do this, it was like, okay, sweet, that works for us. Or it was like, Brady might get out and go with her boyfriend for a week, and we're like, okay, cool, well, this rig will meet up here, or I might go with Haven to a rodeo and they'll meet up there, or like I was in Canada. Kendall took the whole rig to Colorado Springs. Like it was just so easy, and there was just we never had to sit down and like talk about a plan and one of us wanted to do this, the other one wanted to do this. It was always like if somebody said they wanted to do something, then we just figured out how to do that for them, because it's hard enough being out there all summer and the emotional roller coaster and everything else. And I think that your rig needs to be a safe place, and I think that it needs to be somewhere where you go to like just breathe. And there's just so many other things going on out there, and I don't think that your traveling partners, the people you're with, should definitely be like your safe haven, your breath of fresh air, the people you go to boost you up when you're feeling low, like somebody you can talk to about anything. And that's kind of how it was for us. Like there was times, all of us spent time, being down on ourselves or whatever, but it just didn't last, because I think we all understand that it's rodeo, and don't do it if you don't want to feel the lows. And none of us really got that low at all. And I don't know why it was so easy. It's hard to explain, I guess. It was just super easy. We all just made it easy.
Well, and I think that that's something it's just amazing, the fact that it was easy. That's why it worked, because it was easy. It doesn't sound like there was any hardships in it. And not that, like you said, it's not that there's hardships along the way, but it's like you guys made an executive choice and decision, and it was easy, and that's why it was successful. I mean, there's really nothing else to say about it. And so I think that it's going to be really fun to watch all three of you cheer each other on and carry that momentum into the NFR this year. I think it's going to be pretty electric, and I'm excited to watch it. But talk a little bit about your husband, Haven Mejid. He has been a key to you, and I think you've been a key to him too. We've seen some changes in his rope, and he's starting to copy you a little bit too. And you can tell him I said that. But talk a little bit about your roping and Haven, and how he's helped you breakaway roping, and kind of how you guys work together as a team.
Haven is probably the exact opposite in the practice pen, or anywhere else for that matter, as what people would think, because he is a world champion. He's super successful. He has like great mental game, everything else. His rope handling ability is amazing. His horsemanship's amazing. So people would probably think that we go to the practice pen and, break it down and talk about each run. I send him my videos and he tells me all the things I did good or things he sees or anything like that. And it's probably the polar opposite. Sometimes I'll go a week out there and he'll be like, you haven't even sent me a video. Or, or he'll go a week and he'll be like, did you even watch the video I sent you? And in the practice pen, if I try to break it down with him, like if I miss a couple calves or something, I'll be like, does my swing look like this or does my swing look like that? And he's like, you know how to catch the neck, go rope the neck. Like that's pretty much, that's the most
That's the advice you get.
we get. Yeah, like it's not like, it's honestly not what anybody would think, but he has been really good for my confidence and stuff, I guess, that way, because he'll just tell me like, you can do it, stop being dumb, pretty much. So he doesn't have any time for, there's no dramatic flair with
there's
Haven.
no
It's
like
just,
chocolate, roses, love seat, date night, like that stuff doesn't come into play.
No. One thing that he has told me that kind of sticks though is like if I'm in the practice pen and trying to rope or something, I'll be on a young horse. 90% of the time I'm always trying to rope on a young horse. And if I'm ever having heck, he's like, just don't even worry about it. The second you get on that sorrel mare, it's going to be fine. And so now I'm like, okay, Onna, you're all my confidence. So I just expect when I get on you, it's going to go fine.
Well, and I love that, because it does go fine. It goes better than fine. It's most of the time for first place. And to have that kind of confidence on a mare, it's pretty amazing. I was telling, we talked to Ashley Baller with Pro Fantasy Rodeo on the next episode tomorrow. But I was telling her, she was asking me about horsepower and bloodlines. And I said, I think it's pretty new, so to speak. All these fraternities are coming around, and I think there's a lot of excitement in the air, but I said, we're just now kind of starting to see those bloodlines. And I said, I saw Shelby Boisjoli ride a full sister to her horse of the year, Onna. And I said, she is coming up just to be just as stout as her. And I was asking you about that horse. And so I think it's amazing, the bloodlines that she's already has coming up, and just the equine partner you have with Onna. She's been horse of the year 2 times, and she's always in the running. She's always stands out, and she gives you that much confidence. And I mean, there's no telling. I mean, how many accolades have you won on that horse?
Yeah, there's probably most of them have been on her. Yeah, I guess quite a few.
And talk about root beer too. You know, I know you're going to take those two horses, Onna and root beer, to the finals. And I know root beer was a big confidence booster for you too. And horsemanship, like you said, you're always riding young horses. You're always working on them. And that's something you've done. You've trained all your horses. Why is that so important to you? I know everybody has a little bit of a different style and a different feel. So why is that so important to you to train them and get them to where you want them?
I honestly don't. I don't have like a whole bunch of confidence in my ability. So I think that I get my confidence from knowing that my horses are going to do their job. And especially with Anna, I don't ever feel like I have to reach or do anything special with her. Like, I feel like my job is to hit the barrier and rope the neck. And most of the times, I mean, not most of the times, when I don't win, it's my fault. Like, there's no excuses there. And for me, I feel like I just have so much feel with the run and everything that I'm very bad at jump riding and getting on horses that are trained or kind of in their own way. It's just a feel that I have to have. I don't know if it's because I've always trained my own, but I don't do well on horses that I didn't train myself, and I'm not a very good jump rider. So I think that a lot of my confidence comes from knowing that I know exactly what my horse is going to do. They know exactly what I'm going to do, and we just kind of jive, I guess.
And I think that's something that's really stands out to everybody who watches you rope. You know, especially I want to zone in on the box. You know, you're always taking your deep breaths, and we've talked about that on one of our podcast episodes, which is still listened to very, very highly today, about your box work. And I think it's crucial. And we've seen a lot of people start trying to take that same deep breath as you. Um, we don't do it near as good as you. Like sometimes I spit on myself when I try to do it,
Gosh,
but
that's such a lie.
So talk a little bit about the box. I feel like that's where everything starts, and having the horsepower and the control under you, and then at the blink of an eye, you know, letting them blast. So talk a little bit. You do a little bit different in the box. You have your horses tuck their nose, they're in your hand. Talk about your strategy behind that and kind of why you want them horses doing that.
Yeah, I actually just talked about this with Haven the other day about the reason why I like doing that. First of all, I like to be able to see everything, and I kind of feel like I can't sometimes on certain horses that want to stand flat-footed and just kind of stand up straight. And also, I guess the main reason is because I feel like when I have them like that, I feel like I have the horse spring loaded. And it's literally like a loaded spring. Like I have them locked and loaded, and they can just like explode out of there. They're not standing flat footed. Like they're not squatting, but they're just not standing up straight flat footed. And then I was explaining to a girl that is at the house that I'm helping a little bit. She kind of asked me, and I told her that it's a lot easier for me to maintain my horse throughout the summer with you might go to 60 rodeos and you might go to 80 rodeos without getting to score a calf or go to a practice pen. And so I feel like I can hide a lot more things and put a lot more Band-Aids on certain things when I'm trying to score if I have my horse kind of spring loaded in there and with their head down. They can't really look around because I have their head down. And I don't feel like they can go left or right because I have them between my legs. And I don't feel like they can suck back because I already have them kind of a touch sucked back in the corner. And I feel like if they try to run through my hand, their head has to come up first. And I already have them behind the bridle so much that if they want to try and run through my hand, it's fine because they can try it on and I can still get a little bit of a pull off and hit the barrier. It's all forward motion from there. Whereas, I don't know, it's just a feel I like. And I know there's a lot of other feels that people like, and it's just what I like. And I feel like for my horses and what I do with them, it's a lot easier for me to hide stuff and get by on different starts. And I I'll warm my horses up a little differently, and I'll do different things on a 2-under barrier. I like to get Anna really down. Like I like to get her nose really down and get her tucked. That way that I can keep her behind the bridle. I don't really like the floating. I know that I do it a lot more than I would like to, but I like to, if I can, sit flat footed and have my horse behind the bridle. So it's hard to explain. Like, I was trying to explain it to the girl at the house, and I was like, if I want to go and see front of the shoulder, then I'm going to see neck rope, because when I go, my horse is behind the bridle and I send them. And like on a 2-under barrier, if I need to see ear around, I'm going to watch the calf literally take a step and go, because my horses are always behind the bridle. I like to keep them behind the bridle. I don't want them pulling off of me. And whenever they get pulling off of me is when I start doing bad and scoring bad, because it's just kind of how I've made my horses that way, so I've learned to score that way. So when they get pulling off the bridle, I just don't do good with it at all. So I guess it's kind of a Band-Aid that I've figured out to do to keep my horses behind the bridle so they're not kind of pulling off of me and cheating the start a little bit. I'm able to see it every time on them when I have them like that. So I don't know if it's something that actually works or if it's something that works for my 2 good horses, but that's why I do it.
Well, and I love several things that you talked about there. But first of all, when you're out there consistently, like you said, you might go to 40 rodeos, you might go to 80 rodeos and not ever get to score one. And so you've removed a lot of the air already and tried to be one step ahead of your horse, because inevitably we're asking them to give us their lives every single time.
Yes.
And they're gonna mess up. We're gonna mess up. And so it gives you more room for error, like you said, in all those different positions. You've narrowed it down to the infinite details of, this is what may even if this does happen, this is what I'm gonna do. So you've countered it in all these different ways, which is what has to happen. A lot of the things out there that we've learned is, it might be a 200 start, but the box is different. The chute is different. The calves are different. Like, there's so many variables in it. And I think one thing that I love that you said is, like, this is how I'm going to score. And I think that more people need to take into account, what is your style? What is your horse going to do? And how are you going to score? Because my horse, I would love for her to get her head down like you, but she ain't getting it down. So
there's lots that don't like scoring that way.
I mean, maybe you should send her to your house for a minute, but she's not putting it down. So I've got to score different, because there's just not a whole lot of room for error in the other way that I'm scoring right now. And so I'm going to see different than you're going to see. And I think that people need to, I hear people all the time, well, what do you think? What do you think it is? I'm like, well, what do you think it is?
Yeah.
Because everybody looks at it different. And I think that's something you really need to hone in for yourself, or try to study, or try to ask different people. That's great. But you still need to have, like you said, a conviction on, this is why I score this way. This is what I'm going to see because of this. I love how you broke that down. And I think that's really crucial, because if you can nail the barrier, 60% of the battle is won.
Absolutely. And I think that is a common misconception. I've seen girls be upset, and I've even been somebody that was upset, because whenever I don't have confidence in watching the start and making my own game plan, I'll ask somebody, what do you think it is? And I sometimes forget, I don't do it the same way they do it. And I don't think anybody is ever out to get you. Nobody's ever trying to tell you the wrong start. It's just, when it's ear round, I'm gonna say, I'm gonna watch the calf take a step. Like, that's my ear round. And so it's a lot different. If it's a front of the shoulder start, I'm gonna tell somebody, I think it's neck rope, because that's when I'm gonna go, because you have to keep in mind for the delay. Once you drop your hand, you have to relay it to your horse, and then by the time they go, things happen fast. So I think that it's super important to just know how you do it. Like you said, like you're saying, you have to know your run, your horse, how you score, everything else, and just trust in it, and don't go around asking everybody what they think the start is, because you have to know that, and you have to decide that for yourself. It's never really gone well for me when I lose confidence and start asking around what the start is. That's when I know I shouldn't be doing that.
Well, and it's too, I want to say, I love how you said nobody's out to get you. I think that's a big misconception everybody has. We're professionals out there. And I think we say that lightly, like, no, literally, we are professionals. There's a lot of ladies out there that are doing this for a living, and there's nothing that is intentional, or I don't want to help, or anything like this, but literally you showed up that day to do your job, and this is your office. And so I think that that's one thing that that I would love for people to be like, hey, nobody is against you, because I used to think that a lot. I'm like, well, so and so tried to tell me that to beat me.
No.
Turns out so and so
Yeah.
doesn't even know my name or care what I'm
Yes.
thinking, or is even worried about, well, I told Jordan the wrong start. And no, absolutely not. I think we need to just nip that in the butt
Yeah.
right now. Nobody is out there to get
Absolutely.
you. It is your job. You show up, you do your job, you head to the next one. And I think that that's pretty brutal and honest, but I think that that's something that needs to be said,
No,
because
for
that it
sure.
is a professional sport out there.
Yeah, that's why I was like, oh, this is a very good time to say that, you need to know your own start. And if somebody tells you what they think it is, that doesn't mean they were trying to screw you. And I like how you put that, because and I get so stressed out when people ask me what the start is, because I was like, there's a lot of times when I just kind of go with my heart and pull, so I really don't want to tell you.
Oh, I know. Well, and the funniest thing I think about myself and Raymond, you'll get this, because Raymond's always like, we talk a lot about the start, and he'll say it's one thing and then I'll do another. And then I watch it and I'm like, yeah, I didn't see that at
Yeah.
all, and I'm like, but I'm not
Yeah.
telling him that.
I know. Even the way Haven and I score, like, he's like, "Don't ask me anymore," because it's like he will think it's
Yeah,
one
but
thing, and I'm like, "Hell no, that's not it." Like, we need to
in
fray
our
the string. We're in
defense,
breakaway roper land.
exactly. In our defense, I have not seen a calf roper all year push the barrier or throw it. Like, I'm sitting
Yes.
there and I'm like, throw your rope, and Raymond's like, they
Yeah.
can't throw their rope. They have to set themselves up. And I'm like, they've done taken 3 extra swings. And
Yeah.
it's a complete different, like, it has totally, I think, grown apart. I think when we first got in there, it was pretty close and pretty similar, but I love how I've seen it in the last few years. Breakaway has become its
Oh
own
yeah.
little thing out there, because it's like, if you're not pushing that string, you might break the barrier, but if you don't, you're not going to win anything anyway, and so you've got to try it on.
Absolutely. And like when Haven and I started dating, he would be like, that's like the question I'll ask now. I'm like, do I need to stay there? Do I need to be in it more? Was I off it? And when we first started dating, he's like, you were perfect. Like you just barely missed it. Just, you were perfect. And I was like, no, like you don't understand. That wins you like 30th place. And so now, like if I miss it, he's like, oh, you missed the barrier pretty bad. I'm like, I missed it like a centimeter. I mean, I didn't like hit the crap out of
No,
it, but it's how it
no,
is. And it's funny because, the calf ropers are like, if you almost touch the barrier, they're like, yeah, you were in it. And
you
breakaway
were
roping
in
is
it. You
like,
were all in
you
it.
better have some of
Yeah.
that white string stuck on your breast collar if you want to win a
Or you
check.
weren't in it.
Yeah,
Yeah, I know it.
exactly. So it's
Well,
a
and
lot
just
different.
like, we went to a roping the other day, and it was a jackpot on fresh calves. And I think you want a check in the round, or maybe 2 checks in the round, and you were sub 2 seconds. And in one round, 1-8 did not place. I mean, and it was just one right after the other. I mean, it's just getting to where the finite details make so much difference.
Oh, it's insane. It's you cannot practice from the box to the calf enough. You cannot.
So let's talk a little bit about rodeos. Get back to that. You won a lot of cool firsts this year. Some titles I don't think you'd had under your belt yet. What were 2 of your favorite titles that you claimed this year?
Um Reno was super awesome, and probably I mean Sioux Falls was awesome too, and Caldwell was also awesome because Haven won first. So there's 3.
There's
There's
3. You're not
3.
going to pick 2. You're going to pick 3. I
Yeah.
love it. Well, and how cool that you and him get to win that together. Super, super cool there. Sioux Falls is something I've wanted to talk about. Reno obviously kicked your summer off and really gave you that confidence boost. I think you won like 16,000 or something that week, or maybe just at that rodeo. And then then you went on, and it was just like, you couldn't put the fire out. You guys were hot on the trail. But Sioux Falls is something I think is really cool. And I think you are one person that will actually talk about it, which I love. So I'm going to ask. Um, you come into Sioux Falls, and, I think Sioux Falls was a huge puzzle piece this year because it did add so much money. Like, it
Yeah.
paid more than our breakaway finals are going to pay. Um, and so it changed a lot. It shuffled up a lot of things that you and Haley Williams had went head to head all year long, kind of first and second, back and forth, back and forth. You roped 2 calves there. You had 2 barriers. You, Brady, Kendall, and Kelsey all make it back to the final 4 round. Talk me through that and what it was like winning that 25,000.
It was stressful because when I roped a 2, I think I was 2-6 to make it to the final 4 round. And I think it was like Kelsey, Taylor Munsell. It doesn't matter who it was. Every single girl's just, you don't want to be sitting,
exactly.
you don't want to be a 2-6 with
Any
4
name.
girls to go.
Yeah.
Like,
Right.
ever.
That's slow. That's
Yeah.
really slow.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
like, yeah. So I was sitting in the back with Brady, and I honestly, like, I dry heaved because I just could not even stand to watch the last 2 girls rope. And that was super stressful. And then the final 4 was extremely stressful because I had to win 3rd or better to accomplish, obviously, what I wanted to and win season leader. So that was when I was like, okay, Shelby, you've broke 2 barriers, you've missed one on, and you've been slow and got back. This is, you got all your stuff out. This is time to go and put a run together. So it was like, the whole thing was stressful. So yeah, it was a lot. I'm probably being super exaggerative, but it meant a lot to me. I left without even having that goal in mind at all. And then towards the end of the summer, it was attainable and things just kept happening. And I kept telling my traveling partners, I have Sioux Falls. I have Sioux Falls. Like Pendleton, I was 2-5, would have won the first round, and my rope came off, like waved it off, and it popped on his nose. And it was just stuff like that that kept happening. And I was like, I literally convinced myself that I had Sioux Falls and that I was going to win Sioux Falls. So I probably convinced myself for a month that I was going to win Sioux Falls. So when it actually happened, I was like, holy crap, it actually happened.
I won Sioux Falls.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, and I guess the thing I love about it is, okay, you're coming in number 1. You have 164,000. This is your 4th consecutive NFBR. You're not new to the game. Nothing lucky has happened here. You are where you are for a reason. But I think that one thing that people need to hear is we are also human at the end of the day.
Yes.
It is stressful. It is. We do make mistakes. And you make mistakes and you still win money. There is not a time that there's a perfect run. Do we strive for perfection? Absolutely. But is that executable all the time? No. No, it's just not. And so I love that you're so honest and talk about it, because I think more people need to hear about that. You know, I watched you run one of the Canadian finals in 3rd round and blast one. It really wasn't pretty, and you won a lot of money, but they didn't put on the check like ugly loop. You know, they just gave you the check for the 3rd round go round win up there at the Canadian finals. I guess so things like that. I just want to talk through, like, you know, you're number 1 for a reason. It's not by an accident, but at the same time, like, stuff happens sometimes.
Yeah, it does happen. And I think the main takeaway from this year was I said last year I was going to go into the summer as grateful. And I just let so much get to me. And I had like a horrible summer, like just was emotional and was just so angry when I did bad and everything else. And everything, I took everything so hard, and it was just so dumb looking back. And this summer, like, you could not rattle me. I was like, I don't care. Like,
Yeah.
it's either meant to be or it's not. Move on. Like, even when Haven would be mad about something, I'm like, dude, why do you care? Like, it literally, it's either meant to happen or it's not meant to happen. And so whatever. And it's just weird how just having a grateful attitude and actually having a grateful attitude and not just saying you're going to have a grateful attitude changes so much. And I remember you telling me once, you said, what if it didn't even matter? And I was like, whatever, Jordan. Like, seriously, it obviously matters. Like, you told me that at the NFR in 2021, and I was like, no, it matters. I want to win a gold buckle. And now I literally am like, it seriously doesn't matter. Like, I can't even explain to you how much it doesn't matter. At the end of the day, if you're a good person and you work hard and you have good morals and everything else, that is all that matters. And that's taken so much stress off. Like, I feel like I was so relaxed this summer just because I was like, it's fine. And I wasn't so cracked out about going to rodeos. Like, I turned out of Sheridan because Onna was a little bit off and stuff, and she got hauled a whole bunch, and I was up in Canada, and it was going to be a lot of driving, and normal me would be like, if you want to go buckle, you better go. You have to go. And I was like, it's fine. I'm not going to kill myself. My horse is tired. She's kind of sore right now. She got hauled a bunch. It's fine. And so I just went ahead and turned Sheridan out. And I was really proud of myself for just chilling out and, not being so crazy about it.
Well, and I love too. I don't remember if you remember talking about this last year, but you said, I didn't look up one time in the stands and smile.
No.
I didn't soak it in at all. And I watched you do that all year long.
Yes.
And just inside, I was like, you go, girl. Because, it's so neat to see. And most certainly, it's not like a welcomed thing. You're not like, oh gosh, I can't wait for adversity to come. Like, woo. But through that, it creates the passion, the motivation, the desire, all the things that come with it. So I think that's pretty cool. But I just want to say congratulations, because I watched you all year long, soak it up, walked out through the arena, smile on your face. And so it was pretty cool to see.
Well, thank you. My mom would be so happy because she's like, oh, the crowd was so cool, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, Mom, I didn't look at the crowd. So she's like always been on me to make sure that I look at the crowd. And I was like, okay, I'll start looking at the crowd.
Well, tell your mom
it is
to have
really
them signs
cool
ready,
when you do look at it.
You can be looking at the crowd at the South Point. Just tell her, have them banners ready, Mom. I'll be looking for you.
Yeah.
So let's talk a little bit about your NFR and how you're prepping for your 4th consecutive NFBR. What are you going to do different this year that you haven't done in the years past, or what are you going to do to where you're like, hey, that worked, that didn't? I mean, talk a little bit about your experience in all the NFRs. This is the second time you guys are at the South Point, so at least it's a consistent venue. Talk us through that a little bit and tell us what that looks like.
Well, pretty much every year before the NFR, I feel like I've been like on this roller coaster of, am I working hard enough, to, okay, you need to chill out, to, okay, I need to do more. And I feel like it's not uncommon. I feel like everybody is probably doing the same things. Like, am I making this too big of a deal? Like, am I doing too much right now, or am I not doing enough? And I feel like everybody's trying to ride their line of get yourself ready, but just don't be a crackhead about it. And so I feel like I've been a lot better this year. This is probably the best I've been as far as not having a mental breakdown about preparing for the NFR. So, I told myself, I was like, you know what? I told myself the same thing Haven tells me: when you get on that sorrel mare, it's going to be fine. And I've really just been riding a whole bunch of young horses and doing what I've always done. And I pretty much just tell myself, you know how to rope the neck, and you probably throw your rope at the neck at least 200 times a day, like bare minimum of all the horses I ride. So I was like, just have your horse ready, have her sharp, have her confident, and just rope the neck when she puts you there. So I've been a lot more relaxed about it, and also feeling like I don't have to show up and go and try and be crazy fast or anything like that. Like, I feel like before I've definitely practiced things that are out of the norm for me. And even going to the jackpot the other day, I was like, oh my gosh, all these girls are roping so sharp, and they're being like 1-7 every time, and blah, 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 blah. And Haven had to talk me off a cliff again, and he was like, Shelby, that's not how you rope. Like, that's not what you do. You run in there, you rope the neck. Like, he's like, you're not a 1-7 roper, and I'm not a 1-7 roper. So I've just had a lot more confidence being able to know that just hit the barrier and make my run. And that's all I've ever had to do, really, is just tell myself to make my run. And when I don't win, usually is because I beat myself and I was trying to make somebody else's run. So I think everybody has that problem, though, just having enough confidence in their self and in their horse and in their run to not try and go do anything crazy, and just go make their run and, let them beat you. You can't beat yourself.
Well, I agree. And I think that I've been there too. It's like I don't think that you really process the work that you put into it. And okay, we'll just talk about this jackpot, right? So they're coming out there, they're walking fresh calves. It's a 2 foot under, but it really wasn't that far. And then, I come out there on my first one and I was a 3. My next 2, I was a 1.9, which is like maxing it out for me. And I thought, I'm not even going to win any money. Like,
Yeah.
so then it goes through your head, like, do I need to throw faster? Do I need to do something? Now, same thing. I was like, no, I'm going to go make my run. Like, I'm going to rope my calf. And if they beat me, they beat me, but at least I didn't beat myself.
Yes.
And I think that too, that's something that I've had to learn by making those stupid mistakes and like, watching somebody go out there and blast one, and then all of a sudden, like, as soon as I nod, I'm throwing it, and my horse hasn't even left the box because I'm trying. You know what I mean? Like,
exactly. And that's what I did
think
in the
if
short
you're
go,
honest,
that
we've all
same
been
thing.
there. Yeah.
Yes. It's just literally I was riding in the box, and I'm pretty sure it was Sarah right before me. She blasted in the short go, and I was like, okay. Maybe it was Jackie, I don't remember. And Haven just seen me glaze over. He's seen that the lights are on, but nobody's home right there.
Nobody's
And
there.
he's like,
well, let's go
Shelby,
home.
make your run. And he told me that right before I backed in the box and tried to make someone else's run. Like, I'm not a 2-swing roper. It's too hard to do on Onna. She's super heavy, like really heavy in the front end, and it's just really hard to get momentum. And I was like, well, I don't know what made me think that I was going to be a 2-swing roper right there in the short go. But I tried it on and I beat myself, and I was just so frustrated because it's so frustrating when it's usually the only problem every time when you don't do good. And I'm like, like at least it's something
the
different
problem
every time. But when it's the same thing, come on, Shelby. Like, seriously.
Yeah, I mean, I know.
Quit
And then
making
that's the worst
same
part is
mistakes.
like everybody's like, "Oh, be honest about it," and then it's like, "Well, what happened today?" I'm the problem.
It's
I mean,
me.
that's really super easy to be honest about.
I know, and it's like so frustrating too because I can never blame my horse. Like, there's not a single run this summer I can even blame my horse. I'm like, every time I don't do good is literally my fault. It's so annoying. Yeah.
Sounds like you need to get worse horses. I mean, I don't know what to tell you.
I guess it's not a horrible problem to have, but I'm like, gosh, every time, same problem, beat myself.
Okay, y'all. So it turns out winter is here. It's that time of year again, and yet we are still breakaway roping. So what do you do to try to keep your ropes feeling as consistent as you possibly can? You put the Regulator Pro in your rope bag or your rope can. What is it? It is a heated pad that you can stick in your rope bag. You can stick it in your rope can. You plug it in to a cigarette lighter, to a wall plug, and your ropes feel amazing in the wintertime. I love it. I have one in all of my rope bags, in all of my rope cans. I take it with me everywhere, and it keeps your ropes feeling as consistent as possible. So if you want to get one today, check out the website, regulatorpro.com, and you can use my code JordanJoe to save 10%. It is one of the best $100 investments that you will ever make to get ready to be successful and set yourself up the next time you back in the box. Now, speaking of that, let's get back to some breakaway roping talk. Talk a little bit about the ropes you use. That's been something interesting to visit with everybody about over this series for the last 15 days is what style of rope they use, why they use that, and kind of how that fits into their style of roping.
I use the Striker in a 9.5. Rattler makes them. I just really like that rope. It's smaller, so I can swing it all day around my head, and I've got a really bad shoulder, so I like the smaller ropes pretty much just for that reason. And I don't know what it is about the Striker for me, but I miss my slack 90% of the time, and I don't curl front legs and stuff like that. So I guess I'm not switching for that main reason because I don't foresee myself getting my slack much more in the future. It's not for
well, and I think that's crucial, because that is. I mean, that's what I mean. There's a certain way that everybody ropes, and that's why you use that. And so, if you're out there listening and you rope similar to Shelby, or you'd like to, consider buying a Striker 9.5.
Yeah.
I tried the Striker, and I got one that was like a 10-2, which is what I normally use, and it was a little too heavy for me. So Kelsey Domer, she always makes fun of me because she thinks I use well ropes, but I blame my husband because he has always used big ropes, and so that's what I'm used to. So I feel like I'm using a kid rope when it's less than a 10-0. Like I just can't do it. I just can't mentally do it.
Oh, and I feel the opposite. I feel like I can't even swing it, and I'm using a 10. And it's funny because I used to use, I think it was like a 10.25 when I used to use every other rope before, and ever since I started using the strikers, I don't know why. The only ones that I can like swing and really feel are the 9.5s, and the other ones just feel really big for me. So I don't know. Everybody's got their thing though. Like Kendall uses a huge rope, and I was like, dude, you are way stronger than me. Like if I didn't have a dummy rope out and I'd rope the dummy with her rope, I was like, okay, yeah, like five times around the neck's good for me. My shoulder's sore.
My shoulder hurts.
Yeah.
I need a smaller rope. And I think that's something that a lot of us are starting to take into consideration and realize is there has been quite a few shoulder injuries or shoulder ailments because I think we've been doing this more and our bodies maybe aren't physically designed, to just do exactly what we're doing over and over and over again. And so a smaller rope does come into play and I think helps a bunch.
Yeah, definitely.
So let's visit about Pro Fantasy Rodeo real quick. Do you play Pro Fantasy, Teton Ridge and their gaming series? They have a breakaway game as well as this year for the big Pro Fantasy game, they're giving away $1 million. Are you going to play in that? And if you are you going to pick Haven?
Oh wow. I don't know. I might have to ask Haven. I think it was one of his buddies was buying him last year, and they're like, "Hey, I need to know how you're feeling, like going into this NFR." He's like, "Are we feeling good?" So I might have to make sure I'm gonna put him on my team that he's feeling good.
Well, I love that. And that's what several people are like, who's on your team? And I'm like, I'm not saying, but I'm going to be back there with them. So you will know
You're
if you're on my
you
team.
can see
You know
where
what
the
I mean?
lights are on and no one's home.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
You're gonna have the front row seat.
Yeah, you'll hear me, Shelby. You will hear me. Yeah. Uh-huh. But yeah, it's pretty fun. We appreciate Pro Fantasy, and we have a great episode coming up tomorrow. So if you want to learn about all things Pro Fantasy Rodeo, how to play the breakaway games, you'll join us for tomorrow's episode. Shelby, it's been great to talk to you today. I'm very excited, and congratulations. This is your second number one year end that you've came in with. I was complimenting your boots the other day. They had the number one back number on there, and you're like, "Oh, these are an old version." I'm like, "Well, they're still doing pretty good." So, I have one last question for you that I've asked everybody this year, and we're putting a little bit of a spin on it. So, if future Shelby, say 5 years from now, could tell yourself today something, what do you think she says?
I think she'd probably say, probably exactly what you told me. That replays in my head all the time is, what if it didn't matter? And I'm pretty sure future Shelby is going to be like, wow, you put all that stress on yourself and look where you are now. It's fine. Everything's fine and everything happens how it's supposed to. So I would just tell myself, chill out, be a good person, and that's all that matters at the end of the day. And roping will always be there, so just chill.
Chill out. No crackhead Shelby. Chill Shelby.
No, yeah, chill Shelby.
Well, I am very excited. Congratulations on an amazing year. I can't wait to watch you rope at this year's NFBR, and we'll see you in Vegas.
Thank you.